Hey everyone, I'm Sinai, your 4-star guy, and does anyone play Lisa anymore? I'm pretty sure I remember her being pretty popular in the beginning of the game, but I haven't seen anyone use her in a long time. I'm pretty sure this is because everyone is told just how good Fischl is and gave up on her. But this channel is all about making the best of whatever you have, or make the most out of the characters you love. And yeah, Fischl is good, but there are ways to make Lisa work for your team, and sometimes even better than Fischl. In this video, I will give you guys some ideas on how to make our favorite rock climber do more than just climb rocks. Lisa has some unique strengths that can make her pretty deadly when using elemental reactions. If you're watching this video, I recommend you check out my advanced mechanics for elemental reactions video, since some of the elemental interactions with her can get pretty messy, but it is still important to understand when using Lisa. That video should help to explain how to sort through what is happening during it. Researching for that was a doozy, and I bet Lisa is so proud of us right now since she is a librarian and we hit the damn books for her. Well, let's get into talking about how to make this unit that so many people left behind do work for your team. So, I think that Lisa's best skill in her arsenal is her ultimate. It kinda works like Fischl's Oz, but I have found out that Lisa's ultimate procs Electro way more often than Oz does. This means that in situations where you want to spam reactions to do a lot of damage, Lisa is a better option than Fischl. Just know that you might have to focus on energy recharge to keep her ult up, and that might mean sacrificing some stats from being damage related, like crit and attack to energy recharge, so we have her ult whenever we need it. Even so, you may find that her lack of damage from her skills will be more than made up for if you have your ult active doing damage all the time and from all the reactions she can do. Be careful when investing Elemental Mastery in her though. She gains Elemental Mastery naturally as she ascends, and it can pay off very well, especially since we can spam a lot of reactions with her. But it does not help at all if she is not the one triggering reactions. Elemental Mastery can be very powerful on Lisa, but just make sure that she is the one doing the reactions. You can equip her with a book that gives her more damage stats, like crit or attack, or elemental mastery if you feel comfortable using the reactions. And if she is in a supporting role, always keep in mind that Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers is an option to buff another damage dealer. If reactions are so important for her, which one should we focus on when putting her onto a team? Well, Electro-Charged and Overloaded are reactions that could be spammed to do a lot of damage, making it perfect for a character like her to take advantage of. These reactions also deal elemental damage that can be boosted by an Anemo user with the Verdus and Venener set, making Swirl a pretty attractive option itself. She is also perfectly capable of doing Superconduct, but I find that the specific Cryo or Electro users does not matter much for Superconduct, since its effect is lasting and it doesn't do much damage, making it not necessary to be spammed or have a lot of elemental mastery whatsoever. As for resonances, Electro is very helpful to alleviate some of the pressure of recharging her ultimate, and it should activate often since we want to be doing a lot of reactions with her. Pyro is always nice for a straight up attack boost, and Geo could be useful, especially considering that we don't want to be interrupted when charging her skill, which we would need to do if we want to gain energy from her. The first team I'm going to be talking about is a team that centers around Electro-Charge. This is a way to use her as a main DPS. It uses Shang-Chi's ultimate along with her normal attacks. It is of note that Electro-Charge works differently than most reactions, where most reactions utilize the elemental mastery of the triggering character. Ticks of Electro-Charge damage uses the elemental mastery of the last character to apply either Hydro or Electro before the damage tick happens. Basically, this means that unlike most reactions where the slower applicating character is generally the character whose elemental mastery is used, applying your element more often gives you a higher chance to have your elemental mastery used in Electro-Charged. Since her ult applies Electro quickly, along with even more procs with her normal attacks, between Shang-Chi's ult and Lisa's elemental mastery is used more often. I'm just saying this in case you're investing more elemental mastery in her. When testing, I found that using Shang-Chi's ult and skill, applying Hydro in the process, then switching to Lisa, ult, then do your normal attacks after, resulted in Lisa's elemental mastery being used more. When I tried to fit in one normal attack before ulting with Lisa, it turned out that Shang-Chi's elemental mastery was used more often. I don't know why, this just happens with the timing. I tried both ways 4 times. But yeah, that was a lot of talk about just those two. Let's talk about the rest of the team. If we are using Lisa's ult, normal attacks, and doing Electro-Charge, we will be doing a lot of Electro damage. If we have an Anemo character to decrease the enemy's Electro resistance, we'll be doing much more damage. I think that Jean will be a great choice since she can also heal the team. Along with that, she can also use her skill often, and it generates a lot of energy, which would make getting both Xingqiu and Lisa's ult much easier, especially since those ults are pivotal to our team's damage. I've also found Bennett to be useful. He may not decrease the enemy's electro resistance, but he can give us a boost to our damage, heal us, and generate energy for us. But more importantly, he can give us a way to deal with wooden and geo shields, which we will not have any answer to otherwise. When used with Lisa's ult, Bennett can also do overloaded to break geo shields, and his pyro skill can burn those wooden shields. Sucrose could also be the character for your team to do your Anemo shenanigans, and she can also increase our team's elemental mastery, boosting our Electro-Charged damage even further. Fischl could also help us out a lot here. As I said before, keeping Lisa and Xingqiu's ultimates active is important for our team, and Fischl can complete the Electro Resonance and gain energy as long as Oz is on the field. Since she procs Electro less often, she shouldn't interfere too much with Lisa's Elemental Mastery being used, but it can happen. She's also a good physical damage option, in the case that we come across Electro Slimes and the like that we can't damage otherwise. Alright, the next team I'm going to show you guys is pretty cracked. It centers around Overloaded and it can do an insane amount of damage, but because it is overloaded, it may be hard to use against normal sized mobs, since it will be difficult to get follow-up hits and elemental reactions on enemies that are constantly flying away from us. That being said, this team is still good against normal mobs if we just pace out our overloaded procs. In this team, Lisa plays a supporting role to make a whole bunch of overloads happen with her ult. I think that Xiangling might be the best option as the main DPS here, since she has great damage on her normal attacks and can also proc Pyro a lot herself while her skills are active. Xiangling can even proc more Pyro using her skills than Lisa's ult can proc Electro, meaning that we have a consistent way to use Lisa's Elemental Mastery, since Xiangling will apply the Pyro aura almost every time before Lisa does to complete the reaction. Sucrose again can decrease the enemy's power resistance and increase our Elemental Mastery, making Overloaded do even more damage, and she can pass on a Thrilling Tales buff to Xiangling. Using her ultimate also has the nifty benefit of keeping enemies within range and to not get blasted too far to get hit by her skills because she sucks. Now, Venti sucks even more, as well as hits the enemy with more power procs if power is absorbed. At least, I think so. If you think this is a good idea, you can try out Venti. I think it would be better for keeping normal sized mobs from getting blown away from you while doing Overloaded, but I don't have him so I can't be sure, although I'm pretty sure he sucks pretty good. Bennett can be here to complete our power resonance, boost our damage and be a quick power proc without needing to throw out Gobo or Xiangling's ult, as well as gain good amounts of energy for Xiangling and Lisa. In place of Bennett, you can try Fischl though. You can use Fischl to complete Electro Resonance and gain more energy. She can be used here to get more overloadeds off, since Xiangling procs so much power that adding Oz into the mix would just make more overloadeds happen. She has enough power for the both of them and still be the character who applies the auras. I think Bennett may be just a little more reliable to bring though, since Fischl does tinker with the electro power balance a little. If you bring Fischl, I also think that you would bring Jean as your Nemo character to heal, but she doesn't help in any other way. That team was a little heavy-handed on Overloaded. We can make a more balanced team that relies more on physical damage, superconduct, and just a touch of Overloaded. This team could be more convenient versus normal mobs since we aren't relying so much on Overloaded and our ults, but we could still use our ults to do some burst Overloaded damage on bigger enemies. Xinyan could be your main DPS here. She buffs the active character's physical damage while they are in her shield. Her ultimate can also be used during Lisa's ultimate to get your Overloaded damage against bigger enemies. Diona could be your healer. She also provides another shield along with Xinyan. Having shields would be nice for Lisa since it could buy you time to charge your skill and get energy back for your ultimate. I think that Lisa's charge skill is pretty good to generate energy with, since it gives a lot at one time. The only problem was that it left us vulnerable when we charged it. If you want a character who is a little more convenient to proc cryo with, or if you're like me and don't have Diona, you could use Kaya. Bennett can be your main healer here. He completes the power resonance and boosts our damage in his ult. If you are using Diona and are comfortable with the amount of shielding and healing you have, you could use Xiangling here too, maybe as your main DPS instead of Xinyan. Xiangling could be the one to get the buff from Xinyan's shield, and compared to the previous team, we are more focused on boosting her physical damage and are only using Overloaded for bigger enemies or burst damage. Xiangling and Bennett can serve the team in different ways, but can help out depending on what you think your team could use. This team is also a pretty good team for Lisa to have Thrilling Tales with. Even though surprisingly I found that Lisa is still the character doing Overloaded, since her cast time is long on her ultimate and Xinyan can switch in to do her skill before it procs Electro, a lot of times it is convenient to switch to Xinyan after Lisa does Superconduct, or her ultimate, so there are easy ways to pass on the buff. Of course, one of my favorite things to do in this game is to make Barbara feel like a main DPS. I think that Electro-Charge is the easiest reaction to get a lot of damage from Barbara with, and Lisa and or Fischl can make this happen. And a Nemo character here could boost our Electro-Charge damage, especially Sucrose. But yeah, you probably get the idea. Use Lisa's ult and or Oz, then switch to Barbara and use her normal attacks to keep the Electro-Charge going. This team can be legitimately powerful. There's also not much need for trying to pry a healer in too, since Barbara on the field should keep her team more than perfectly healthy. I think Lisa is also a great choice to make use of Geo Resonance and Crystallize. I know for me, I enjoy using Noelle's ultimate during Lisa's ult. This is because Lisa's ultimate procs the enemy with Electro all of the time, and Noelle's Geo attacks can crystallize with it. With this constant crystallized shard generation, we can be crazy tanky and just keep attacking with a 15% damage boost from the Geo Resonance. I think that the Traveler is a great character to accompany Noelle, because of their energy particle regeneration for Noelle, and the fact that their ultimate grants us a 10% crit rate boost when in the ring. Having all of this shielding also makes Lisa much safer to charge her skill with to generate energy for all the ult we want to use. In my opinion, I think that to use Crystallize to its full potential, our last character should be another Electro support character. I think that we wouldn't want too many reactions to happen, since if they do, elemental auras would be cleansed, and if Geo attacks hit enemies without an aura, we will get no Crystallize shard. That being said, I can imagine characters of other elements fitting in the last slot if we want to do a second damaging reaction and get burst damage some other way. But we would have to be sure that Crystallize and this reaction doesn't interfere with each other. Electro Resonance doesn't actually help us here, because it only gives us an energy particle if we do Superconduct, Overloaded, or Electro-Charged, not Crystallize. But having another Electro character means that we generate more Electro particles. That gives Lisa more energy than other particles. In reality, there are many options for this team, like the other Geo characters and like how I talked about the last team member. But I just wanted to highlight how Lisa can complement Noelle's ult in particular. I really like this team against the Oceanid and Abyss Mage bunches since they're pretty vulnerable to Electro damage, and the Crystallize can make you tank annoying hits scot-free. Alright, those are the ways I thought of to make Lisa a very useful member in a few possible teams. Keep in mind that whatever you guys end up doing with your teams is completely and absolutely up to you, and that you should build your team however you want. I just wanted to make this video to hopefully give you guys ideas you could get excited about and give you guys an explanation of how it works and why it is built the way it is. I'm sure hardly anyone hates Lisa, and I bet there are some people who wish that she was more useful so they could use her on their teams. Comment down below if you want to give her a second chance and try something out with her, or maybe you have always been using her. Tell me what you're going to do with her. I wanted to give a lot of options since I know everyone's roster and plans for your characters are different. Consider subscribing if you think my advice helps you out, or if you just enjoy hearing my thoughts on Genshin Impact. I do tips, character builds, team comps, and the occasional mess around video. Thank you for checking out my channel either way, and see you next time.